The next prize is a convection toaster oven, and that goes to 0484. 0484. Is it over there? Yes. Next prize is a Hamilton Beach microwave oven, and that goes to 0865. 0865. 08 over there, back there. All right, automatic alert radio with alarm clock goes to 0420. 0420. 0420. I'll take another number. Oh, wait. Somebody, 0. All right. Next is a Black & Decker mouse sander. And that goes to 0379. 0379. See, who wants a mouse sander? 0379. I wondered about that. It was kind of a horrible, I need 3 more winners. Okay, we're going to go for the mouse sander to 0459. 0459. Over there. Next one is a 27-inch tower fan, and that goes to number 0695. 0695. 06, going. That goes to 0688. 0688. All right. And the last one we're going to pull right now, Hamilton Beach food processor, goes to 0852. Right there. Okay. We'll be back.
In your program is a copy of last year's minutes. In order to expedite our business meeting, may I hear a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of our 2012 annual meeting of the membership and approve the same? Chris, I need a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes. Back there. Is there a second to the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Our balance sheets and operating statement are included as a part of the annual report, which appears in August's issue of Power Lines. A copy was mailed to every member. In view of this, I would entertain a motion to approve the financial statement. May I have a motion to approve the financial statement and waive the reading thereof? Is there a motion for this?
Chris.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Now we will hear from Matt Beauchamp, our General Manager.
Okay. I know this is the part of the meeting you've been waiting for. Please try to contain yourselves. Is this an absolutely beautiful day for a Central Electric meeting? We called in for this. This is just absolutely beautiful. When I woke up this morning, I didn't think it was going to be this nice. It was raining and foggy all the way to work. But thank you, Madam President. Again, I would like to thank you all for joining us this evening. It's a wonderful It's a wonderful day, and I'm really glad we have the opportunity. I have the opportunity to stand and speak to you today, just take a few minutes and talk about the business of your cooperative. I'm going to talk about some of the things that went right over the last year and some of the things that didn't. I'm going to talk about the plans for the current year and the plans for our future years. I'm going to talk about finances and projects. And most importantly, I'm going to talk about the common thread that goes through all of that, and that's the people. Our theme this year is the people who care. When I sat down to write these remarks, it took a while to figure out how in the world I was going to fit that in when I started talking about all the things that we do. I will confess, I was still writing yesterday morning. I was still writing this morning, frankly, these remarks, and that does put a little undue pressure on those that I asked to make copies of them and distribute them to board members. What the board members have in front of them right now is not going to be too close to what I'm reading tonight, but it's because I've changed them up to and including when I walked up here on stage. As I thought about rates and reliability and strategic plans and equity and lender requirements, it became amazingly clear to me that the only common denominator through all that is, in fact, the people doing it. Before I talk about the what we have been doing, I want to talk a little bit about the why. Our goal here is to try to balance the priorities that you've given us. But sometimes those priorities are in conflict with one another. And sometimes those priorities have impacts on them that are well beyond our control. So we need to take steps to prepare for that. In 2012 provided some difficult challenges for Central Electric. You see, those things I listed before, those rates, that reliability, that equity, those many things that we have to keep track of, they all have goals and targets and requirements, and often improving one of them will have a direct negative impact on another. This requires central staff working with our board of directors to establish a balance between these things. But like those television pitchmen say, but wait, there's more. And that more is that thing I mentioned a minute ago, those things that are beyond our control. Now, in order to address that, we make preparations. We make sure we're doing everything we can so that when those things that happen that are beyond our control, they are somehow mitigated. And as I go through this presentation, I'll try to point those out whenever I'm able. Excuse me. Let me give you an example of what I mean. You, our members, have always made it very clear that you want the lowest possible rates we can provide and the highest possible reliability. That seems simple enough. But let me talk about how this gets a little less simple when we consider how these things affect each other. As a not-for-profit organization, our rates are driven by our costs. We have to collect enough money to pay the bills. We have to meet our lenders' requirements so that our company stays a financially sound institution. We have to maintain a healthy equity level as defined by our lenders and by our board of directors, because that equity level is the portion of the system that you all love. Our reliability, on the other hand, is directly affected by our efforts in line clearance, tree trimming, and other maintenance items, new line improvements, replacing 900 miles of wire, Fred's favorite topic. But what we spend on those issues to help improve our reliability are direct costs of the cooperative. And so ultimately, they end up having a negative impact on our rate. So as you can see, the goal was the lowest possible rate, and our system improvements, and our lender requirements, and our equity levels, those often work in direct contrast to that specific goal. But like I said, but wait, there's more. Remember I mentioned those things that are outside of our control? 56%, give or take, of our total expense comes from our power supplier. Weather has an effect directly on our outages and also directly on our revenue that we collect. With all that in mind, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing to strike that necessary balance and prepare for for the things that we can't control so that they are a little bit mitigated. We've created, this is off my script again, one of my favorite quotes, I don't even know where I heard it, is men plan and God laughs. So with that in mind, we as an organization sat down and wrote a 3-year strategic rolling plan so that every year, 1 year drops off and another one picks back up again. So we started our planning. We based that plan, we created that plan so that we can align ourselves with our mission statement. And that plan emphasizes 4 main areas. Service, we want to make sure our service is professional and personal with continued utilization of technology. Reliability, we want to make sure we're maintaining a high level of reliability with that same continued utilization of technology. Costs, we need to make sure that we provide value at a competitive price with a focus on efficient operations. And lastly, our culture. We're a service-oriented culture with a belief in the advocacy of the cooperative difference. And I know that last one's very important, and I'm going to say it again later on, but I know when I'm sitting in front of a room full of people, in a very warm room full of people, that are cooperative members coming to your annual meeting, you understand the cooperative difference and you believe in it. All of those areas of emphasis are guided by a set of values. Those values are honesty and integrity, commitment and initiative, accountability and dedication, and professionalism and reliability. This plan I'm talking about was created with input from our board of directors in these specific areas and our mission statement, and myself and our department directors. Our department directors, Fred Terwilliger, our Director of Engineering and Operations, Lisa Hoover, our Director of Member Services, Dennis Beggs, our Director of Finance and Accounting and our CFO, Stephanie Deal, our Director of Human Resources, Chris Kostman, our Director of Information Technology, and Christina O'Donnell, our Director of Member and Community Relations. That plan consists of 9 goals over that 3 years. And no, I'm not going to go through each goal tonight and all of the supporting information that goes with them. We'd be here far too long for that. But the goals are across all of those departments I just mentioned. They make all of us work together on a regular basis. The major focus of these goals is cost control and continuous improvement. That's part of mitigating those things that are beyond our control that I talked about. While each of these goals and initiatives that I just mentioned are cross-departmental, I will be highlighting as I go through some of this specific departments and some of those key people that are involved with those departments. For the purpose of the presentation, I'm going to combine some of our goals just to speed things along. The first of our goals focuses on our controlling of costs and our management of rates. Probably, obviously, our Finance and Accounting Department is primarily responsible for that area. As I mentioned, Dennis Beggs, the Finance and Accounting Director, and our Manager of Accounting, Chester Conti, who came up and gave our invocation earlier today. This last year, 2012, was a difficult, I think what we described as an average year financially. It wasn't as good as we'd like it to be, but it wasn't certainly as bad as it could otherwise be. And I say that because we met our target equity level between 30 and 35%. And our equity this year is tracking well. We've been able to maintain one of the lowest blended interest rates in the United States for those funds that we borrow in order to help maintain our system. We met all of our lender requirements, our time interest earned ratio, and our debt service coverage, a lot of buzzwords from accounting. We did this while allocating capital credits and returning $838,000 to our membership this year in a capital credit retirement. Yes, absolutely. I bring that up because we did this despite the fact that in 2012 was one of those circumstances that's beyond our control. I'm going to mention some of the storms that happened in 2012 in a little bit, but right now I want to mention some of the very mild weather we had in 2012. And while it doesn't seem like it should be a big deal, for an electric utility company, it is a big deal. Because our rates, an awful lot of our rate is, our revenue recovery is in the kilowatt hour charge. So when the weather's not terribly hot or not terribly cold, we don't necessarily collect all that revenue so it pushed our margin just a little bit tighter. So being able to accomplish what we were able to accomplish there is a testament to what those folks in the accounting and finance were able to lay out for us and be very conservative to make sure we still kept ourselves financially stable despite that thing that was out of our control. We began 2013 with no rate increase. I mentioned that last year at the annual meeting that we were going to start 2013 with no rate increase. I know what you're thinking. July 1st came and we had a rate increase, and you're absolutely right. But at the end of 2011, our board sat down and discussed a rate increase, and we discussed, because of the forecast that we had from our power supplier, whether or not to do a rate increase that would cover a single year or 2 years. Well, we sat down and discussed it and realized that trying to do a rate increase for a 2-year period of time, there were just too many variables. There were too many things that were unsure, and we didn't want to over-collect money from our members. So we did a rate increase in January of 2012 with the idea of reviewing it again in January of 2013. And then when January of 2013 came along, we pushed that. We pushed it to July of 2013. So yes, unfortunately, we did have to raise our rate to cover those additional costs. But as of this time, our plan is for no additional rate increase through all of 2014.